Hey everybody, how's it going? Stabman coming right back at you once again, speeding through this part of the video as usual. I wanted to do a gaming update. I don't usually do gaming updates because most people come to this channel for Blu-rays and DVDs and physical media of the movie and television variety, if you will. As a result, it just doesn't seem like a smart idea to do video game stuff, because every time I try to do game stuff, I get more downvotes. People don't really tend to like it as much, and there aren't as many views. So it's like, well, people don't like it. Why am I doing it? So I really don't do it that often, but I felt like doing it this time because it was I don't know, kind of big deal for me. And there's a lot of stuff that I've been getting, like money that I would have normally spent on DVDs and Blu-rays and whatnot, I've been spending on this instead. So yeah, the big purchase, the big gaming purchase that I made recently was a PS2. Not a PS4, not an Xbox One, not a Nintendo Switch, none of those things. I actually went back to the generation before the last generation because, I don't know, it was a variety of factors. I think one of the big factors was that every time I go into a thrift store, I find a PS2 game somewhere that I'm like, you know what? If I had a PS2, I'd probably get that game so that I could play it again, because I liked it when I had a PS2, or when I had that generation of console, if you will. There were a lot of games on the PS2. So many games. There was like over 1,000 games on the PS2. So there's a lot there. I don't necessarily care about having a complete collection or anything, but there's enough there that you go to the thrift store and you see these random PS2 games that you didn't even know existed. And some of them are actually kind of good. Some of them are actually kind of interesting. So I just was like, wow, I want to get a PS2 again. Now, the first time, and this is another reason I wanted to get this, the first time I got a PS2, it was a fat PS2, and I traded another console for it. I can't remember what console I traded for. I think I traded either the GameCube or the Xbox for it. I can't remember exactly. I traded one of my consoles for it, and I was assuming that the console I was getting was a working console. Well, the person who traded with me, they screwed me, because what they didn't tell me was that their PS2 had a bad disk drive. So, although I did get it to work a few times, it literally, like, it would not read the disc. So I had to, like, keep trying to get it to read over and over and over again for like 10-15 minutes, if not longer, just to be able to play a game on that PS2. And it was not a good experience for my first experience with PS2. And I was someone who was very much like, I was more interested in the Xbox because it had the hard drive, the 10 gigabyte hard drive, which, to be fair, the PS2 also had, you could also put a hard drive in it, but it wasn't really optimized for the hard drive. There wasn't really many games that you could use the hard drive with. When it came to the Xbox, that was absolutely and totally from the beginning optimized for the hard drive. So pretty much, I wouldn't say every single game was optimized for it, but I believe every single game at least allowed you to save directly to the hard drive instead of to a memory card, so you never had to buy a memory card, which to me was really cool, because I was getting really freaking tired of the whole memory card thing, and I'm glad that is phased out forever, for the most part, I should say, in console gaming at least. You know, you still see memory cards, but not really that much in console gaming anymore. And then I really liked the fact that the Xbox just had better graphics. I mean, it looked way frickin' better on a tube TV, and every single time you'd read these reviews in the, no matter where you read them, every single time when they did a, like, a comparison between a game like maybe Tony Hawk 4 or something like that on the Xbox, the PS2, and the GameCube, every single time it'd be like Xbox, it looks best on Xbox, second best on PS2, third best on GameCube. That was just a normal thing that you would see all the freaking time. Because that was true. That was the truth right there. Quite frankly, every single game that was multi-platform looked better on the Xbox, the original Xbox. I had a real big problem with the Xbox 360. I was not a loyalist to Xbox, so I didn't make up excuses for their stupid Red Ring of Death, which they quite frankly should have thought of beforehand, and it is not an excuse to say, but they gave you a three-year warranty. Like, you don't put a 3-year warranty on something. You fucking fix the goddamn problem. And it took them how long to actually try and fix the fucking problem? Instead, they put a Band-Aid on it by saying, well, we'll replace it if it ever breaks. It's like, fuck you. That really pissed me off about Xbox. But regardless, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent here, even though I apparently can't avoid it. The point is, I wasn't really much of a PS2 guy, and I really wasn't much of a Sony guy. The last Sony product I had was the PS1, and it had been a long time since I even touched that sucker, you know. And my brother had gotten a PS2, and he was happy with it, but I was not really interested in the PS2, so I just didn't bother until late in the console's life cycle. So it was like 2002, 2003, something like that, maybe even later, before I got the PS2. And when I got it, it didn't work. So first impressions were not good. But I still, like, even though it didn't work, and it was frustrating, and a reminder that I got screwed, even though all those things are true, I still looked at it and I was like, there's so many games on this console that I want to play that like weren't on any other console and will never be on any other console ever, period. So because of that, for the whole time since then, I've just been, you know, every now and then thinking, man, I really want to try some of these PS2 games. And when I see them in the thrift stores, and I'm like, if I had a working PS2, I could play that game, you know what I mean? It gets on my nerves. So recently I started watching videos of people doing like PlayStation 2 game playthroughs, right? And I was noticing like, holy crap, this actually looks pretty damn good. And they have these devices now where you can, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily like up convert, but it definitely makes the games look a lot better in high definition on the high definition TV. But you don't even need that necessarily, because like one thing I don't think most people realize is that the games actually already still look pretty damn good on a high definition TV. So I opted to get a PS2 Slim, which you're going to see right here. So as you can see, I got myself a PlayStation 2 here. This is my first PS2 Slim, and it came with the controller there and the 2 memory cards. And I don't know if you can tell, but on the top there, it is a little, there are a few scratches on the top of the actual the console itself, but everything else about the console is practically brand new. It's like there's nothing actually wrong with it. And I just want to point out here that it's on top of the PS4. It's on top of my PS4. So, I mean, I don't know if that tells you something. And yes, it's sitting on top also of a, hold on here, a Roseanne DVD. I believe this goes to my Roseanne set, and I think this is where I left off the last time I was watching through it. So there you go, I was on disc 2 of the 6th season. I made it pretty far. And for those wondering, yes, I do enjoy the new Roseanne series. So take that for what you will. Anyways, on to the PS2. So yeah, I got a PS2 Slim, as I mentioned, and I've talked about some of the reasons why I wanted to get it. So I should also mention that in addition to the console, I got some component cables so that I could hook it up to my high definition television and get the best possible quality out of it. And quite frankly, even though, of course, because it's really an older generation console, no matter what you do, it's never going to look great. Most of these games were 480i, and some of them were 480p, and then an even fewer amount of them were 1080i or 720i or 720p or whatever. You know what I mean? So there are a few games like that were actually made for like 1080i, and they look pretty damn good on high definition television, that were made for the PS2. However, most of them are just 480i, but even those games, I find like there's a little bit of blurriness around the edges and stuff like that, and the graphics obviously don't look as good as they might look on a CRT television, and a purist would say that's the way you should play it. But I'm not too much of a purist to really care that much about what I'm playing it on. Just so long as it looks good enough that I can play it without being, like, for instance, confused about what the text on the screen is actually saying or something like that. As long as that's the case, I'm fine, and I can read everything perfectly fine. With the component cables, it looks pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie, most of these games are pretty damn good. And for the past couple of years, I've actually been buying PS2 games. Originally, I did it because I was like, I'm just going to sell some of these at some point because they're worth money and they keep accruing in value, or they did at the time. But eventually, I decided, no, I'm going to keep these for myself because they're pretty cool games. But if I'm going to keep them for myself, I'm going to need to get a PS2 eventually. So there was another reason why I decided to finally get this PS2. And the PS2 came with 2 games, the memory cards, the controller, and all the hookups and everything for $61, which is not a bad price, all things considered, if you go back and do the math on that. I mean, I'm sure somebody out there is going to say, Stahl, you can go to a garage sale right now and get all that for $5. I'm like, yeah, maybe if you go early in the morning before resellers get there and get that deal before you, and then try to sell it for what it's actually worth, you know. But if you're like me and you want to make sure you actually get something that works, that has been tested, that looks like it's in pretty good condition, you know what I mean? These are things that you want, then you're going to have to pay a slightly higher price just to make sure that you're getting what you want. So that's what I did in this case because, well, it wasn't for resale. You know, if it's for resale, I'll buy it for $5 and be like, well, if it doesn't work, I can sell it for parts and still make money. You know what I mean? But it's for me. And if it's for me, then I want it to actually work. And again, the first time I got a PS2, it didn't freaking work. So especially in this case, it's one of those situations where I don't care how freaking expensive it is, I'm going to get one that I know freaking works. So that's exactly what I did. And I'm very happy with the results because guess what, guys? It works. I have a working PS2 that doesn't give me any disc read problems whatsoever. It's beautiful, man. And now I can play some of those games that I've been collecting over the years. I bought a total of 5 games to go with the rest of the collection that I had built. But I'm going to start off by showing the one game that I did get in the bundle that I actually wanted or would have any interest in keeping, that I got in the bundle with the PS2. As I mentioned, it came with 2 games. The second game that I'm not going to keep was Desert Conflict or something like that. Some cheap, stupid little game, war game that I'm not really interested in. And it was in terrible shape. Didn't even look like it was going to play, and it had the wrong disc. So the wrong disc is in terrible shape and doesn't look like it's going to play. I don't know. But it also came with this game, which I was like, well, I do have this on PC, but these are not really that easy to play on PC because they're not optimized for controller. They have like half optimization with controller right now on Steam, but it's very iffy in my experience, so I'd rather actually just play it the way it was meant to be played, and now I can. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I never got to play this one, and this is one of the ones I really wanted to play, so very cool to be able to get that with the PS2 for, again, 61 bucks. The other game is a write-off. I don't even consider it a part of the deal. I just kind of came in there, didn't want it, didn't care about it, just going to donate it to Goodwill, especially considering it has the wrong disc inside. This one I can have some fun with. This one I'm very happy it came with the console for a pretty damn good price. But a couple of weeks ago, when I knew that I had my heart set on getting a PS2, I started like picking up titles. I started actively looking for titles, PS2 titles in thrift stores that I wanted to buy. Unfortunately, I only found one title that I actually wanted, and that was Ape Escape 3. Now this is a freaking great find. If I wasn't collecting for myself, I would have bought this in a heartbeat to sell it, because this one's worth like 25, 30 bucks. I think a more reasonable price that you could expect to sell it for on eBay is something like $15 to $20. More on the $20 range, quite frankly, but you could easily sell this for 25 to 30 bucks right now, especially in this condition. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't have the manual, but the case is in pretty good condition, the disc is in pretty good condition, the artwork is in pretty good condition. I mean, not bad here. And I got it for $2.50. So that was a no-brainer. I've never really been into these games too terribly much, but I never really played them that much. I think I played one Ape Escape game for like 5 minutes and then never bothered playing any of them beyond that or learning anything more about them. So when I popped this one in on the PS2, and I'm just like, oh, this whole story behind it, and I was getting into the gameplay and whatnot. It's actually a fun game, and I can see why people like this series. And I'm glad that I found this for such a damn good deal, because even though it's a cool game, there's no way. This PS2 and me is not about paying buku bucks to get the best games. There are going to be games that I want, they're going to be worth a lot of money, but I'm not going to pay high dollar value for them. I'm going to wait until I find them in the thrift store. If I never do, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I do not need to be spending a whole bunch of money on old games. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm in this for. I'm in this for all the cheap, cool, good games that I can find. And thankfully, this one was cheap in the thrift store. Very happy about that. But the first 4 PS2 games I collected for this collection started with 2 role-playing games in particular that I found at a Goodwill a couple of years ago, actually, for $5 a piece. And that would be Xenosaga Episode 1. I've heard such good things about this game that I always wanted to check it out, but never actually got to. So pretty cool stuff to get this for like $5 at the time. I mean, that's not a bad price to pay. I found this one at a Goodwill in Portland back when I was still living in Portland. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. And at the same time that I found that one, I also found Phantom Brave, which at the time that I got it, this will date it a bit. At the time that I got this, the PC port had not yet come out. There was no PC port. There was no indication that there was going to be a PC port. And this was going for like 30 bucks used on eBay at the time. And I opened it up, I'm just like, holy crap. The disc is in immaculate condition here. It comes with the original booklet and the soundtrack. It has the original soundtrack in it as well. It's just like, wow, I need to get this. Again, at the time it was like to sell, because I thought at the time I can easily make like $10 to $15 off this. And this one is going for like $30, so maybe I'll do that. But then I wasn't really into the idea of reselling at the time. I wasn't really going for that kind of thing at the time. So I just kind of put it on the shelf and forgot about it. By the time I got around to picking them up again, they weren't worth as much as they used to be. $5 is a pretty good deal on this one, but it's not worth much more than that. And $5 on this one, I think this, without everything included in it being complete in box, would maybe get you like $15 on eBay or something like that at this point. But again, the game on Steam now in high definition is like 15-20 bucks. So I mean, I'm glad to have it in my PS2 collection since I got both of them for $5. But yeah, it is a bit of a bummer, I guess, that I missed out on that. But hey, at least I have some pretty cool games for my collection. And then the next two games I got from Half Price Books. Oh my god, remember Half Price Books? I used to go there all the freaking time. I have like all these empty bags just sitting right next to me from Half Price Books because of all the bag sales I went to there. Well, in some of the bag sales that I went to, they had some actually halfway decent PS2 titles. Like usually the PS2 titles there are just, you know, the sports titles that nobody really cares about, and they're not really in good condition and all that stuff. But even though these are kind of sports related, they're also some of the more highly sought after popular sports titles out there. So first one here I got for $1 was SSX, the original SSX. It's, I guess I wouldn't say it's like the best price ever to pay for it, but can you really complain about paying $1 for an SSX game? It's the original, so it's not as good as all the sequels and whatnot, obviously. The SSX game that got me into this series at all, the one that even interested me at all in this series, was SSX Tricky, which I got for the GameCube when it first came out. Having enjoyed that so much, I figured, yeah, SSX for $1, I'll do that, and put that into my collection, especially considering that it's complete in box. So, pretty cool stuff. And then another one that I got for $1, ATV Off-Road Fury. Pretty damn good deal on that one as well. I mean, this is a fantastic game. It doesn't look as good anymore. Neither of these games look as good anymore, but it is a pretty fun game with an actually amazingly good soundtrack. Like, it has a lot of the great rock songs from that era, from the early 2000s and late 90s, and some of my favorite songs, to be quite frankly, are on this soundtrack. So it's easy to find myself just like driving around in that game for the hell of it, just to like relax, listen to some songs, and pull off some sweet moves on an ATV. But then I actually got my PS2, and there were some titles that I wanted to add to my collection before I was done. So I went ahead and picked up a couple of pretty cheap titles, or, well, affordable titles. And the first one I got here for, I think it was like $4 or $5, was Hot Shots Golf 3. I mean, if you like Mario Golf and that kind of thing, Hot Shots Golf is basically the Sony answer to those types of Nintendo games. And it is really fun. It's a pretty damn good game. I enjoy it quite a lot. And this is the one I've actually played more than any other game on the PS2 since I got it. So, very happy that I was able to find it. And again, it was like $3 or $4. Something like that. 4 or 5, 3 or 4, I can't remember. But it was really insanely cheap. So, very happy to have gotten that for such a good price, because I'm getting a lot of entertainment value out of it. Next up, I went on to Mercari and I found a collection of 3 games. One of them I wasn't really too terribly interested in, but the other 2 were ones I definitely wanted in my collection because I had fond memories of them, and they were all 3 related to one property. That would be Simpsons Road Rage, Simpsons Hit and Run, and Simpsons Skateboarding. Now, when it comes to these 3 games, this one is essentially a Tony Hawk ripoff. I haven't really gotten the hang of the controls yet, so I don't even know if I really like it at all. It kind of seems not very good for a skateboarding game based on Tony Hawk. But I'll give it a chance again at some point. I just wanted to have it in my collection because it was a Simpsons game based on Tony Hawk that I had never played before. So I definitely wanted to check it out. And well, I'm glad I did, but so far not looking too good. And then with Road Rage, I played this a lot back when I was younger, and I had a lot of fun with it as a Simpsons fan, and as somebody who enjoyed the Crazy Taxi series, because that's essentially what this is. This is literally just a reskin, essentially, of Crazy Taxi, and there's nothing too terribly wrong with that, but there's not really any depth to it. There's not really any incredible story to it or anything like that. It's just a very basic, plain, bare bones kind of a game. An arcade game, if you will, but it's still fun. It's one of those you can easily pop into your PS2 and play for, 15-20 minutes at a time, have some fun with it, get higher on the scoreboard, yada yada yada, that kind of thing. So very cool stuff. I definitely would recommend this one. I wouldn't say it's the best of all the Simpsons games, but it's a good one. And then Simpsons Hit and Run was, needless to say, I feel like the piece de resistance, if you will. It was the one that sold me on the entire lot, because this game is freaking fantastic. I have a lot of fond memories of this one because not only is it like Road Rage, not only is it a fun Simpsons driving game, but it's also got like an actual story to it and platforming elements, and it doesn't suck, and it's very well done. Even to this day, I feel like if you go back to this, join me on this one, alright? Go back, get this game, because it is so good. You don't even realize how good this is. Like, with the experiences that you've had with games in the past 10 or 15 years, you take those experiences, that knowledge of the bad games you played, the good games that you played, and you come back to this, and you will realize that in comparison to some of the other games you played since this holds up miraculously well. It is very tight. It is very good. You definitely need to check this one out again. And I think that's probably the reason why this one is still pretty damn valuable. It goes for like $15 to $20 on its own on eBay, but I didn't want to pay that price. So I went on Mercari, I found that lot, and that lot had all 3 of these games going for, at the time I think it was $26 or something like that. I offered $24. They took it. So for a total of $8 a piece, I got Simpsons Road Rage, Simpsons Skateboarding, and Simpsons Hit and Run. Pretty damn good deal when you consider the total price I paid, $24. Not bad on that. And really, it's my goal to not spend more than $10 on a PS2 game. If I can get it for less than $10 and it's something I really want, then I'll go for it. For the most part, though, I'm literally just looking for stuff that I haven't played, that I have some kind of an interest in, or things that I have played and I do enjoy, that I can find at thrift stores for a really good deal. One of the big reasons, I've already mentioned a lot of the reasons I got a PS3, right, or PS2, right? But one of the big reasons I didn't talk about yet is this game right here. One of the big driving factors. So you gotta do the driving. is Burnout 3 because they came out with the remaster or the remaster of the Burnout Paradise game. And that irked me because Burnout Paradise was not... It was a serviceable Burnout game. It was a pretty fun Burnout game. There's nothing too terribly wrong with it. But in comparison to like Burnout 3, Burnout 2, Burnout Revenge, Burnout Dominator, Burnout yada yada yada, all the really good Criterion Burnout games of the past, in comparison to those, Burnout Paradise just did not hold a candle. It was not as good. They were trying to do things with it that they quite frankly should not have been trying to do, because it just wasn't going to work, and it didn't quite work that well. It worked okay, it just wasn't too good. There was nothing special about it, right? Burnout 3, I feel like there's a lot special about this particular game. And I have a lot of fond memories of it, so I definitely wanted to pick this one up. And honestly, like, all they really had to do was give us a remaster of the first 3 Burnout games, right? If they had done that, I'd have been perfectly happy. Hell, they didn't even need to do a remaster. Just put these games somewhere. Put them on Steam. Put them on the PlayStation Store. Put them somewhere. But they didn't. I don't know if they couldn't due to contract or whatever, but there's just nowhere else or no other way to actually get the original Burnout games, which are the ones that I love the most. So the only way to get it, the only way to relive my past, my fond memories of my childhood playing this game, was to get the original game. And since I already had PS2 games that I was, building up into a collection, I figured it makes more sense to get it for this console than for the Xbox or whatever else, and then get an Xbox or a GameCube or whatever to play it that way. Especially considering that for whatever reason the Xbox is actually more expensive than the PS2 right now, and I believe the GameCube is pretty expensive right now as well. GameCube games are especially expensive. It just made more sense to me from the monetary sense from a monetary perspective to get this on the PS2 and to get a PS2 so that I could play it again. And I'm very happy that I did, because I'm having a blast with this game. It's just been so much fun driving down memory lane, if you will, with this freaking awesome game. So that is that. That's my entire PS2 collection as it stands right now. It is a pretty hefty one already, even though I just got a PS2 again. That's pretty cool, if you ask me. Who knows how big the collection will get, or how long this video will be, but I'll tell you what, I'm really, really happy that I got this PS2. I'm having a lot of fun with it, so awesome. Anyways, that'll do it for me today. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think about my decision to purchase a PS2 to get back into these older games now, and in the comments below. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.